Hello, I'm Dale, and I'm joined by Bill and Mike. Hello, Bill and Mike.
Howdy.
Good evening.
So this is Friday night, and we have gotten together the last couple of Friday nights with Bill. I thought that we had a pretty good discussion, which was a debate among ourselves. I debated myself quite a bit, and we talked about the potentials for the levy and the best arguments for and against that. And so tonight we're going to be talking about a little bit of numbers and a little bit of other things, but I would put out to these fellows, what do you think locally here? Nationally, there's all kinds of stories. Internationally, there's plenty of stories, but locally, Mike, what do you think was the biggest story of the week?
Well, locally, the biggest story of the week was the child there at Lincoln Elementary School, Hunter, who had to, they showed there were pictures of him on social media behind a cardboard trifold barrier where it was, it was isolating him from his friends and stuff, and there was a big uproar about that, and the uproar about that probably would have continued if the "what color is this dress" craze didn't hit the internet yesterday.
Oh yes, yes. Even I heard that one.
Well, what had happened with this little guy is that the mother was having trouble getting him to school on time. She says the reason she was having trouble, and he kept ending up, remember, he's 6 years old, so it's unlikely that he's going to be walking completely by himself or probably not driving the family car. And it wasn't as if he could jump on a school bus because they live within walking distance of the school. And the mother has some kind of spinal problem and finds it difficult to walk. Now, the husband would get up early and go to work, and then the mother would wake up later and try to get little Hunter down to the school. The problem was, over and over and over again, he was late. And it wasn't his fault. It was due to the mother. Now, she says the problem is that, my car doesn't always start up right. Well, if it looks like it's going to be a icy day, you actually have icy day. You have to get up early and get the ice off of your car, or look at the roads, or give yourself a little longer to get there. So Hunter gets there 5 minutes early. Great, but this wasn't happening, and it kind of got into a habit where, again, I forgot my car doesn't start up. Really. Okay, not trying to jump too hard on the family. However, they were having a problem getting him there. So the principal decided, and there's new school board policy apparently, principal decided that what they do is they take this little duffer and put him behind a cardboard kind of tent during lunchtime in front of all the students, and then he would sit back there and eat his little lunch and do a little bit of homework. They said, well, this will give you a chance to catch up in your homework. Now, look, he's 6 years old.
Extended learning time. Yeah, how much homework does he have? And what did he miss being 5 minutes late?
Or she says 1 minute late the last time. Right. Now, so you trot out John Higgins. I don't have much use for this guy, and I'll tell you another time why. And he says, it was never intended to isolate. Never intended to isolate. We could see the picture for ourselves. This picture is worth looking at. We also have a story. You can look at our story. It's at badcounty.com. It's in the well, not here, but it's at badcounty.com, and then you can go take a look at it, and you can listen to Bill Meyer over at KMED talk about this, and he did the first extensive interview with the mother.
Right.
Okay.
Now, one of the challenges here is, where was Keijo? Now look, just think about this for a second. This is something nobody else is talking about. You heard it here, and that is, this is a local school. It's Grants Pass. This is a local family. Well, of course. It was a local repair place that Bill Meyer from MED, there in Medford, he was able to solve on the air. Where was Keijo?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a very nice thing that Bill did. He didn't have to do that, and it actually, I think, probably ended up being a very good thing for Kelly's Automotive too, because they got a lot of PR out of that, and I'm sure that goodwill is going to get them a lot of business.
Well, they're one of KMED's advertisers. I suggest that you consider listening to the Bill Meyer Show on KMED 1440 AM. We advertise on there. And tomorrow night you'll be hearing some of our ads. We're up to almost 400 ads, I think. And we do it not because we're selling anything, because we're not, because we want you to know the news. And so he picked one of his advertisers and just sort of called her on the air. Well, oh, of course I'm going to do it. What is she going to say? And so, but he arranged that for Medford, calling to a Grants Pass auto repair place. I would like to think that we had, I don't know, a newspaper in this town, or maybe even a radio station in this town that knows what's happening. I mean, we released the story early in the morning. It wasn't until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when KJO finally got an official press release from the school district. Oh, let's report that because they're the government station. Basically, it's the Rotary station. And Bill was able to do this one phone call.
Right, and by the time Bill had her on the air, which was the next morning, this had gone viral nationwide. It was being talked about. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I actually did hear about this. I hadn't attached the name to it, but I heard it through an internet discourse, and said they went to 36,000 hits in 24 hours.
Yeah, and this is just the original posting of the mother's Facebook post. Got that
exactly.
much. Yeah.
It was a grandmother, but yes, close. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
No problem. You can apologize to me later personally.
Yes.
So, but keep in mind that the I will take brownies from your wife.
Right, yes.
Keep in mind that the suits at the school district are trying to backpedal on this. Oh, it was never meant to isolate anybody. Isolate him? Of course he's isolated. That was you could see that's the entire purpose. The little guy sitting back there crying, he's 6. This was the wrong person. They were trying to punish the parents, and so they picked a little 6-year-old. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I don't understand why. I mean, there appears to be some logic disconnect, which I mean, you wouldn't expect that to happen with like school teachers, but apparently it did. That I mean, if you're trying to, it's obvious. It's obvious that it's not the kid. Don't punish the kid. Why are you going to punish the kid? Because it's their policy. Well, if the kid is walking from school or walking to school from home, that's a different story because he may be dilly-dallying around. It may be totally his fault, but not if the kid is being driven there by his mother. So that was stupid to begin with. And then what did he call it? He says something about the confidential cubby, he called it. And and they asked him, would you have an emotional reaction if it was your kid and you saw, pictures of your kid in this situation? He said, well, I can understand having a reaction like that if I saw my kid in a unique learning environment.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
This is like talking with Cheryl Walker. I mean, all that you need to do to turn this into a comedy show is just ask some stuffed up, well, you know what I mean, stuffy, stuffed up, I can't talk, stubbed, all that you need to do is get some stuffed shirt that's trying to explain their phony baloney policy, and it just turns into comedy. This is correct.
Yeah.
Boy, they got to keep this guy out of the spotlight.
Yeah, PR. That was, but you know what though? I believe that they get in this world. This is the politicians' world that I always refer to. That's different. It's a different place. Their rationales and stuff like that. They sound perfectly logical to them, but they don't fly to the general public. So
it just took one photograph put on Facebook by the grandmother, and people were reacting to this, and it honestly, it wasn't a photograph of it being waterboarded or anything, but still, people they felt sorry for this little 6-year-old guy, and his grandmother says we came by and he was crying. Well, of course, he's 6 years old. He cries because a puppy licked him wrong or something. They're very sensitive little guys, and
Yeah.
well.
Well,
So,
what's interesting though
go ahead.
is there's reactions all across the board. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some people that this is totally justified punishment of the kid.
Oh, that's Rika Brown. I totally understand this. That kid, really, you gotta. Oh, Rika, really? Do you have any credibility?
Did she actually say that?
No, I'm paraphrasing. She's got something.
Yes.
You can go look it up, and that'll be interesting.
And then also people coming on and rationalizing the comments of the administrators there.
And the principal, the superintendent points out that they had roses for the principal the next morning. Oh, we love you. You're doing such an excellent job. Really, it just makes you want to, pardon me, it makes you want to puke that they brought the principal roses. You're doing such an excellent job. Why, my gosh, Rob Brandis, you're doing a great job. And out at the airport, there's Larry Graves. He's doing a wonderful job. And let's not forget please.
Yeah, I think unless you've been busted for child molestation or something like that, then you're a great public employee. That's the gist that I get, generally speaking.
Well, okay, so speaking of being busted, so I'm sitting in the hallway waiting for the Thursday administration meeting. It's a workshop, so no one can speak. Can't speak most of the time anyway. Can't laugh. There's a rule against laughing. Can you see this over my shoulder? Here's Keith Hick. He's very upset because there's a rule against laughing at commissioners when they say they're not involved with the levy. You better not laugh or you'll be ejected from this. Yeah, right. You'll be ejected from a cannon. Anyway, so this guy talks to me and he says, boy, that Casanogi, whatever, boy, she is sure stupid. And I'm like, okay, what is it this time? And she, not always perfect. Almost none of us are, except for Mike. The thing is that she never lied to us, and boy, that's a good start. I will take that anytime over the experts, because how those experts been working out for you, everybody.
Oh, now wait a minute though. This was somebody Thursday said that to you?
Yeah, right. So he talks to me in the hallway and he says, see, just the day before, Sandy Casanelli had talked about the numbers having to do with levy and how much it was going to cost you. I think she gave out a few too many numbers because people are not writing these down fast enough, and you take it and you multiply it by 0.1. What? So, but she was trying to indicate that it was going to be expensive for you. And this guy says, oh, boy, that's really all wrong. And then somehow he had her saying, and I don't think she did say this, but Bill will resonate with this. Somehow he had her saying that there was less crime now than people realize. Really? And I said, so why do you feel that that's wrong, that those are bogus numbers? He said, well, I said, Sheriff Gil Gilbertson had pointed out to everybody. Okay, now I hope that you're seated while I'm saying this here, Bill. That the sheriff had. It doesn't look like you are, but okay. That the sheriff had indicated that that he had not turned in crime statistics for 3 full years, and therefore these numbers are all bogus.
Oh, yeah.
This should be pretty easy to hit out of the ballpark. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Is that right? Is that being said?
Probably. That's what the guy said. And I said, now,
yeah.
First of all, why would a sheriff not turn in crime stats? Second, if you're trying to pass a levy 3 years in a row, according to the Courier, it's only been turned down twice. Yeah, right. That why wouldn't you tell anybody that the crime is worse? It doesn't make any sense, and he wouldn't do that. And I said, so where did you get these facts? And he said, oh, I got it from the Courier.
Ah. Ah,
but I don't remember the story where the courier said that the sheriff hadn't turned in crime stats or
no.
just stopped doing that. So, Bill, why don't you address that for us and what you think of a claim like that?
Well, I imagine if something like that actually did happen, we've got all kinds of litigation around, because these are the ones that the FBI uses officially, and so you submit them from our local departments up to Salem. Salem amasses them and sends them to the FBI, which then amasses the whole United States, and then they come back individually and on back down, and then are made available to the public, for which real estate agents and all kinds of people who are interested in certain populations in certain areas rely on as being the norm. I do know that and I don't have it right in front of me, but I think it was about 6 years ago, the city of Grants Pass turned in 11 out of the 12 months, and it's noted on the report that there was 1 month missed or omitted. And they asterisk that and let you know, and then they say, for that 12th month, we averaged out the other 11 to give you a 12th-month figure. So if there's a discrepancy, it's noted right on the Uniform Crime Statistics, so that the public says, oh, these aren't actually reported, these are somehow created by mathematics out of the available.
Gotcha.
So I can't imagine even a year. I would think somebody would be down on your neck in Oregon, number one, and then if it went on for 2 years, I would imagine the FBI would say, you know, what are you guys doing out there?
That's right.
So,
well,
here's
the point of this. These two guys had insisted on talking before the show in a quorum, and that's supposed to be a joke. I see that Bill gets it, but Mike doesn't. Okay. So I can tell by your smile. They were talking to quorum before this meeting, and they were saying, well, you know, maybe it's not a real good idea to tell everything out there, because then the other side might know more about the arguments. My point is, I think that the reason that we need to do that is that the arguments from the other side will come out. Oh, that's totally wrong because the sheriff hasn't turned in stats for the last 3 years. This is so easy to shoot down. I believe that what we need to do is we need to let them say everything they have to say, just bring it on, say all of it, and then the public could look at it and go, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
So the no mentioning of conversations before the show only applies to others and not to you. Is that what the deal is now? I just want to be straight on this so that I don't mess this up in the future.
This is merely a continuation of our levy debate, and you guys are losing again. Sorry? Say again?
Well, it's all hypothetical you're talking here.
Oh, yes, right. That's what it is. It's all hypothetical. I didn't mean to put you guys behind a partition because I didn't mean to. What was it he said? It's not to isolate or stigmatize you, of course.
No. And of course, Dale is correct. I don't see them coming up with an argument that there isn't a quick and easy counter for. At least nothing that I've seen yet. So
is this really the best they can do? Oh, don't your numbers are all wrong because Gil hasn't been reported. Gil did report those. Do you remember? Now this is
but that's just one guy.
Oh yeah, just one guy, just the sheriff. He had a press conference.
Oh no! The only time I've ever heard this claim is what you just said. That some guy at the admin session was having a conversation with. I've never heard that before.
Well, what we don't know is we don't know if this is something that the Cuffs and other guys are saying. But as each of these arguments comes in. One of the things we can look at about reporting is that Gil actually had a press conference, and he put out a press release that was saying that 9% of the homes in Josephine County had been burglarized since we didn't pass the levy the last time. He had to take that back because it was completely false. And if we can look at that and say, No, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody could have insurance in this place if 9% of the homes, almost 10% of the homes have been burglarized. Really, really? And when you look at that, you go, well, that just doesn't make sense. Where are the people on the other side to say, now, hold on a second, this isn't making any sense? It seems as if one at a time or in a group, they're willing to say just anything to try to convince us.
And one argument we do know that they're more than willing to make, and they have at several of these events already, is that the law enforcement people on the panel all say, oh, this is far worse than it's ever been. I've never seen anything like this, et cetera, all kinds of hyperbole. And so I just want some numbers. I want some stats to back that up. I mean, what do you base that on if the stats show continued low crime? And of course, we know their answer to that is, well, people just don't care anymore. They know that there's not going to be anybody there for them, so they don't report the crime.
Yeah, that's people say that, and I would have to have specifics. I can't imagine someone having anything serious at all that didn't report it.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be the advantage to them or to the community or even the sheriff's office at that point?
Well, you think they'd at least report it to their insurance company. All right, so
yeah, absolutely.
To me, there are obviously two sets of people that are pro-levy. Okay, one is a set of people who are inveterate liars. I mean, this is just what they do. One of the people that fits into this category is Mark Gatlin. I don't mind mentioning names. Mark Gatlin sat there with his campaign chair and was telling people, I listened to them do it. I'm an eyewitness. They were telling people, oh, this thing about this 10% ISF, oh, that's nothing. There will be no money taken out. Look, this is a lie, and it's also illegal to tell people that when they're signing your petition. It's illegal. It's against state law, and there's a reason it's against state law, because you're lying to them to get them to sign the thing, okay? So you've got those kind of people. Now, if you can possibly, like we said last week, separate them out of the equation, then, Bill, you have the people over here who really do believe that crime is going up. Now, Bill, you showed us the numbers. If we're to believe our new police chief, he's relatively new, Grants Pass police chief, and our new sheriff, and they really believe crime is going up, what is your opinion, Bill, and Mike could follow up on this too, what's your opinion about why they would say that once they were faced with the statistics?
Well, the answer I find when I read and what I would imagine they'd say is, statistics and damn statistics, that you can make up anything you want, except they're the ones that are making it up. This isn't some third party that's coming in and saying, well, we messed with these numbers. These guys write this down. They actually have deadlines 4 times a year that they turn it in to the state. I think it is all volunteer that they that they do this. I don't know what, in other words, I don't know what teeth are in it if they didn't do it, but they would put an asterisk up and say we didn't receive information, because I've already seen that out of Grants Pass. But, to do that would work against them at every level. I mean, if they don't turn the numbers in, then crime is down. And they're doing a wonderful job. Well, then why do you want the money? Why do you want a levy if you're doing a wonderful job and crime is down?
Right. And if you're convinced that crime is up, why, if you're that person, working inside law enforcement and you want the levy, why wouldn't you go out of your way to make sure all of those numbers are getting turned in? Yeah, exactly. And the greater issue would be at this point if they were somehow padding the numbers. And people have done that. I heard of an instance in California where they had for several years in a row been the lowest in California, and I guess they took pride in that, and so they eliminated some of the numbers so they could keep that status, and finally got caught and ended up saying, just a minute, these guys are jacking the numbers around back at the office here. So that would be the greater thing, is if they were actually doing that. But the
the thing you have to look at there, and almost a very provable thing, is that we're looking all the way back at 1995 on, and what's amazing is it is staying very, very, very consistent for all those years. If we came along all of a sudden there was a spike up or a spike down, but if you look at that number of years, the split between the county and the city has remained almost exactly the same, within a point or two always. And the numbers and so forth have matched the state going down. In 1988, it was the highest crime. If you lived through 1988 in Oregon State, God bless you. You made it through the tough times. We are half the crime in Oregon of 1988. And that's throughout the whole state, and the state is very proud to say this last year, this is the 10th year in a row of being lower than the year before. So in 10 straight years, we've gone down in crime in the state of Oregon. And we match that pretty much the same, maybe a little slight difference here and there, as all the counties do. But on the average, we're just exactly the same. We're going down just like all the rest of the counties are. So it just isn't true.
Hey, Bill, one response that I get pretty consistently on social media when they look at some of these shows that we've done and the charts is they always cite, well, the numbers on those charts only go up to 2012. And, all of this has happened since then.
Yes.
What do you say to that?
They're about a year behind. I have talked to them twice in the last 2 weeks. I finally talked to people as opposed to answering machines. And at first they told me in late January they would be out the first week of February. I started calling after the first week of February, got no one, did finally get to them this week. They said it's an executive committee and due out in 2 weeks to actually hit the internet where everyone can have them. They are actually completed. The executive committee evidently puts their stamp of approval on the entire report. So they're available, but they are not available. They're finished and they're done, but they are not on the internet yet. I am trying to circumvent that and actually find just the numbers for Josephine County ahead of that going on the internet. But we may have to wait 2 weeks if I can't do that.
Well, here's one of the points.
They're a little later this year than normal.
Here's one of the points about that.
No one's giving me explanation.
For those who haven't seen last week's show, you should go look at last week's show. Okay, so here we have this chart where it's like up here, okay? I'll do the best that I can with this chart. And then it's going down precipitously, down, 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 and then kind of doing this little thing over the past couple of years. Now, unless this thing goes like this, which Gil Gilbertson tried to tell us that it was, and then it turned out that that was wrong, and guess who set him straight? The FBI. Okay, saying, no, that's not true, and Gil admitted that it was false. He admitted it was false. You didn't hear much about this because the Courier doesn't want to tell you that. Come on. There we go. Put that back up again, would you? Okay, so here's what we're looking at. So, and the blue ones are the city of Grants Pass.
Right.
And the red ones are the county. Now, even when you look at the red ones, you hardly see anything. Now, do you really think, if in your heart of hearts you believe the red ones have now pegged up to the top, worst it's ever been in history or whatever, well, then can't help you. But the likelihood is, with this trend, it's going to be somewhere near this. And so this is objective proof that there's something. Well, they were asking for these funds back then, too, back in 2000. Well, we need to do it. We're on the edge. I need to spend 4 years of funding in 3 years, but I never really said that. But yes, I did, but no, I didn't. This was Gil Gilbertson, okay? So the thing is that you can say, well, there's a lot of reasons to vote for a levy, and since I won last week's debate with these guys, I have to admit that there are some reasons to do that. But my point is, when you look at these numbers, at these objective numbers, you can't argue with this. I mean, these are the facts. Now, if it makes you feel better to have patrols out there, and it makes you feel more secure to spend the money whether we absolutely need to or not, well, that's an emotional thing. But you can't base it on the facts.
Right. Yeah. These numbers. Well, the thing, sort of the argument they're making is that these have skyrocketed. So in getting the 2013 numbers, because and there's always controversy as to when this whole thing started, and it was mid 2012. It was like June 2012 when they let a whole bunch of people out of the jail there in Grants Pass, and
Right.
so the numbers, and that's when rampant crime was going to be rampant. You know.
That's where the 9% came in, which has turned out to be false.
Right. So the 2013 numbers should be, you know, a vertical spike on this chart when you get it. If their argument is correct, I don't think that's what you're going to see, but that's kind of what they've been saying, and so I guess we'll see about that when we get the numbers.
You need to ask yourself on this too.
Yeah.
How did these people? How did these TV stations get this footage of all these folks? How were they exactly in the right time, in the right place to get this footage of the people streaming out of the prison? Of course, they're happy.
It was a press release.
Who told them to show up at exactly that spot and have these felons run right by them?
They got a call from the sheriff.
Yep, you got it.
I'm sure. Yeah, somebody doesn't know that you know this highly rated nightly television show takes place between 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening.
Who calls back in 30 seconds anyway? Okay, look, the point is, do you feel just a little bit manipulated by and then he comes out with the crime stats and then has to admit, did he get up in public and admit they were false? No. He gave them to Keith Heck, and Keith Heck read from a piece of paper. And Gil Gilbert, I'm there when Gil Gilbertson comes in the back door of the, not back door, the front door of, it's behind us now that we're seated and facing forward when you can only look forward, never turn around. And so there he is. He comes in, he puts the papers down, and he leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what? I think it's an important point because Dale talked about several types of people that vote for the levy, and the true believers, the ones that believe the idea that you know, crime is rampant and out of control here. I think that if we can reach those people with the numbers, there'll be a blowout like we have not seen in the history of levies in this county.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to remember when you look at this that the 80% of the crime that happens is in the city, which has a 4-minute response time, 55 officers, 80 some in the department, fully funded to those levels. And I think I have to congratulate them. I think a 4-minute response time is marvelous. You live in the city, you're about as covered as you can possibly be, but that's where 80% of this crime is coming from anyway. So it isn't as though we don't have anyone dealing with the crime. We have a good department in the city, and they're funded. What the confusion is that they're trying to make those numbers somehow have come from this part we don't get to, which is the county. And I just almost laugh when they end up saying, well, you know, the county people come into the city and they commit the crimes. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, if I were a criminal, is that where I would go, as a 4-minute response time with 55 officers? And as opposed to go out in the county in some back road and drive up somebody's driveway, in 40 minutes at the best they'll probably get there if they even hear about it.
Right.
And they have 2 officers. I mean, criminals may be stupid, but, you know, they talk amongst themselves.
Sure.
They're probably going to figure that out.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things, Bill, I think that, you know, even if we did add some rural patrols, let's say we quadrupled the number of rural patrol, I wonder what would that actually do to the response times? It may not affect the response times at all.
Yeah, yeah. Totally depends on where the crime happens that they're calling in from versus where the officers are.
Right.
And, you know, I was up in Eugene this week, Tuesday, and talked to a deputy up there at the jail system talking about their levy, which they had 2 years ago now. And they got 55 cents for their new jail. I was saying, how's your patrols? Well, he said, we're down at bare bones. They have a sergeant and 4 deputies out. This is a 356,000 person county,
Right.
and that is all they have on any single shift. And they are only covering 16. He says, actually, right this moment, we're covering 20 hours a day. But he said, normally we're at 16 hours a day. Well, we're asking for a 16-hour-a-day coverage, not with 4 officers, but we're only 82,000. And, you talk about bare bones. You go to Eugene and Lane County, you've got bare bones there.
Right. Now, you guys do understand that in order for this information to soak in, that most people in this county, I think most, are going to need to change their perception of what's happening. And to me, it's very interesting that we've got KJO and their news is really nothing but just crime, 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 crime. And then we've got the Daily Courier. Are we really the only news organization that you can go to get the facts?
Well, yes, and I wonder, though, is it that they aren't aware of this? Are they being manipulated as well as the rest of the populace here? Are they being manipulated, or are they pushing this because it's part of their agenda?